Shalom. All praises, blessings, glories, and honors to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Racha Kwadash. Double honors to my elder apostles and bishop elders of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth, as well of men of like mind. Shalom wa chasad, which means peace and mercy, to the elect of the nation of Israel, whom you so call Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners of the seed line of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom are scattered here in America, which is Babylon the Great, and abroad. To you I say Shalom, beginning with the 144,000 prophets, and Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Ratazah. This lesson is edifying and informative. The evils, which means bad times, as Eve means time and ill means bad, of miseries for the rich and wealthy of Esau, Edom, will soon come. Their miseries shall come upon them, because right now they are living in great abundance and delicacies. As they become richer and wealthier, the poor gets poorer. All the money that the U.S. has been printing over the past year to send to Ukraine and now recently Israel is just filling the pockets of rich and wealthy Edomite elites through laundering. James chapter 5 verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men of the nation of Esau, Edom. Weep, and now you have rich men amongst the heathen nations as well, including our own people. However, the focus in particular here is on the nation of Esau, Edom. So go to now, ye rich men of Esau, Edom. Weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Now, what are the miseries that shall come upon the rich men of Esau, Edom? The fact that, according to biblical prophecy, their kingdom will be destroyed and their powers and free will stripped from them. For they will be put into chains and subject to slavery under the nation of Israel. So, miseries and only miseries shall come upon them. And so they will weep and howl. Your riches are corrupted. Why? Because the riches that they have and had gotten, they'd gotten it through ill-gotten gains, through injuries and deceit. Therefore, their riches are corrupted. They go different lands, extorting the resources out of them and leaving the people of the different lands destitute, in debt, poor and in need, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days, and they have heaped treasure together indeed for the last days. For who? For the elect of the nation of Israel. Because according to the book of Job, the 20th chapter, they have swallowed down riches, and they will vomit them all back up. In fact, let's get that in the book of Job, chapter 20. Verse 15. He had swallowed down riches through injuries and deceits, extortion, lies, rapings and robberies and murderings of the people of the earth, especially against us, the Lord's chosen nation, the nation of Israel. He had swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai shall cast him out of his belly. So all the riches in the form of gold and precious stones, among many other resources that these devils have gotten through ill-gotten gains, will be restored unto us, the nation of Israel, beginning with the elect of the nation of Israel. All of the treasure that they have heaped together, they had done so really for Israel, beginning with the elect. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Now, before we read on, in the news from the RT, U.S. aid to Ukraine laundered back to military-industrial complex. So as we can see, their own tongue is falling upon themselves, because they are a kingdom divided against itself. Scripture says that a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. Pardon me. Now the word laundered means to transfer illegally obtained money or investments through an outside party to conceal a true source. So, U.S. aid to Ukraine laundered back, transferred illegally back to the military-industrial complex. And this was a statement made by a congressman. So they're obviously telling on themselves, because they are divided. Republican Representative Thomas Massie claims that the money being sent to Kyiv ultimately ends up in the pockets of stockholders. And we've been saying this for a while. Okay, beginning with the elder apostles, bishop elders, elder brothers on down. We've been saying this for a while. Okay, and how all the money that's being sent and have been sent to Ukraine has been laundered for the most part. They don't give a damn about all those men that's been sent to war. They're cannon fodder, as they would say. All they care about is the money. The U.S. Congress is continuing to vote in favor of sending billions of dollars to Ukraine because a lot of that money ends up being laundered back into the U.S. military-industrial complex. Meanwhile, the American people continue to struggle. Domestic issues continue to mount, yet they continue to print money in the form of billions to send to Ukraine and to the small hats. Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie has said in an interview with, now you know what, man, you might do whatever the hell you want. It's your kingdom, and it's coming to its end, so you can do whatever the hell you want. You can just keep printing more money to make the debt heavier. Okay, in an interview with Tucker Carlson on X, formerly Twitter, published on Wednesday, the politician was asked to explain why Washington continued to push for more funding for Ukraine despite it becoming obvious that Kiev's forces cannot win. After all, it is obvious. Massie, who has reportedly voted against funding Kiev's military operations, alleged that a lot of the funds that are sent to Ukraine ultimately ends up enriching people within specific U.S. districts and stockholders, some of whom are congressmen. So one congressman is pretty much ratting out others that are benefiting from all the aid that has been sent and still is being sent and is being considered to be sent to Ukraine. Okay, you know people are getting rich, so let's do it. And you know what? If he was benefiting off of this too, he wouldn't have said shit. People are getting rich, so let's do it. It's an immoral argument, but it is one. But that's not the argument they're making in public, he said, noting that those supporting the funding of Ukraine with U.S. tax dollars are instead arguing that it is a moral obligation to do so. So all that money that they take out from people's paychecks, those are large taxes and deductions and all that, guess what? All that money is being sent to Ukraine and is being laundered back to the U.S. military-industrial complex and stockholders. They're making money just sitting on the ass doing nothing. Meanwhile, the people continue to slave in society, and society continues to decay, and they don't give a rat's ass. Okay, and that's why eventually people are gonna start to bug out and disregard their kings and princes. You know, you're a bad person if you're against this, he complained, referring to a statement recently made by U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who suggested that failing to support the fight for freedom in Ukraine meant letting Russian President Vladimir Putin prevail. So that's the smoke to cover the fire, so to speak. But no one mentions that we have abetted the killing of an entire generation of Ukrainian men, which is true. That will not be replaced. Oh, their husbands shall die in the war. It says to fight a war they cannot win, Massie noted. In order to support the U.S. government's proposal on Ukraine aid, the congressman claimed a person has to be economically illiterate, morally deficient. Oh man, it's funny seeing you Edomites divided, man. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has hit out against Republicans like Massie, who have opposed aid packages for Ukraine, calling the failure to support Kyiv absolutely crazy and against U.S. interests. Because men in Congress are getting enriched. People are getting enriched. The U.S. industrial military complex is getting enriched with all this money. And Kyiv is just a scapegoat. That's all. Ukraine is just a scapegoat for that shit. Keeping it a buck, as they would say, against U.S. interests. The U.S. leader has repeatedly pledged that Washington would support Kyiv for as long as it takes in its conflict with Russia. Oh boy, Congress is currently in the midst of a debate around accepting a $111 billion national security supplemental request. Goodness, man, which includes funding for Ukraine as well as Israel. And it's guaranteed that the majority of that aid is going to go to those small hats. Republicans have said they would not let the bill pass unless Washington first boosts spending on the U.S.-Mexico border, tightens immigration controls, revises asylum and parole laws in immigration proceedings. Last week, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev also stated that Washington's continued support for Ukraine had nothing to do with defending democracy or battling Russia, but instead boiled down to making a profit and modernizing the U.S. military-industrial complex. And that concludes the article. In other news, this is more of an update. Venezuela adds the disputed oil-rich region to its map. Energy companies should start exploration in our Guyana Essequiba, President Nicolas Maduro has said. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has displayed an updated map showing a resource-rich territory disputed with neighboring Guyana as a part of Venezuela. The map, including Guyana Essequiba province, will be published and distributed in schools and universities, Maduro said on Tuesday. A law on the creation of the new province has already been submitted to the country's parliament, according to the president. The area that Guyana calls Essequibo has been a bone of contention between the two countries since the 19th century. In 1899, U.S. Arboration assigned the region to Guyana, a British colony at the time, but Venezuela never accepted the decision. In 2018, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres referred the dispute to the International Court of Justice (ICJ), with the Hague-based body ruling in April that it had jurisdiction in the case. On Sunday, a referendum in Venezuela returned the result, overwhelmingly supporting Maduro's government and the state of Guyana Essequiba. The vote confirmed that Caracas should reject the 1899 Arboration decision as well as ICJ's jurisdiction over the matter. It also endorses a plan to offer Venezuelan citizenship to the residents of the Guyana Administration Territory. Venezuela's state-run companies will immediately proceed to give operating license for the exploration and exploitation of oil, gas, and mines in our Guyana Essequiba, Maduro said. Any other firms operating in the area will have 3 months to withdraw from the territory, he explained, adding that a zone of integral defense of Guyana Essequiba would be created. A consortium led by U.S. company ExxonMobil started producing oil off Guyana's coast in late 2019 under a license from the Guyanese government, with exports beginning the next year. Late on Tuesday, Guyanese President Irfan Ali said Maduro was showing blatant disregard for the ICJ, which said last week that it forbade Venezuela from taking any action to change the status quo of the region. The Guyana Defense Force is on high alert. Venezuela has clearly declared itself an outlaw nation, Ali announced. The country would be contacting the UN Secretary Council and the ICJ concerning the development on Wednesday morning, he added. Ali also addressed foreign companies operating in Guyana, saying that our message is very clear. Your investments are safe, insisting that Georgetown has the support of the international community in its dispute with Caracas. This concludes the article now. To end the lesson, let's go back to James and finish off. Verse 4, behold the hire, which is the payment of the laborers. Who are the laborers in this society? The people, in particular the Israelites, because we built this man's kingdom. For we are slaves, we are yet this day in our captivity. Who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. See that? So the payment of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, who have built your kingdom in Esau, Edom, which is of you kept back by fraud. So you keep back the people's hire, their payment by fraud through deceit. And they cry. You tax them, heavily. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Sabbath oath. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth, and have been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts, as in the day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. So your time is coming. Your time to be killed and condemned will soon come. And there will be nothing that you will be able to do to resist, because you will be recompensed for your wickedness, for your heinous atrocities against the nation of Israel. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying, informative. This has been another in the news. Shalom to the elect.